if your client doesn't have a good experience because you were overwhelmed,
There you go.
they're not going to call back and they're not going to send their friend to you. They're going to be like, this guy sucked.
I think that's
he couldn't make it to my house for 2 weeks.
Well, hello everyone. I'm Nir Berkovich with SoHo Construction, and today we are changing roles. And I'll sit at the host seat and interview Nate. Usually we're doing it a little differently, but I kind of felt like I want to try something else and interview you and kind of hear you more and maybe be more on the host side of things. And we'll just jump on it. That's for today. We'll talk about growth, or in particular, growing too fast, which is, a problem that it's dear to our hearts here at SoHo, but I'm sure that it's true to a lot of different businesses in different spaces, different areas. And growing too fast is a real problem. So we'll try and break it down, kind of touch, on why growing too fast is tricky and dangerous, or what you can do to mitigate growing too fast. Maybe share more about our story, of growing, and what do we feel about growth, and let's just go on it and see how it flows. So, growing too fast, Nate.
Yeah.
What's growing too fast? What's growth for you in general?
Yeah. So for me, I feel like growth, man, oh man. So really it's, I think, establishing scale and like scalable projects, and whether it's larger projects or more projects. There's two different ways to do it. You either have big projects that require big teams, or you have a ton of little projects depending on your business, right? So some people volume scale, some people revenue scale, right? And it's just big revenues per project. So I think that's kind of how I look at it. And when it comes to starting off and getting to the point where there's any growth, it's your first growth is, oh my God, I got a project, someone signed, someone's going to work with me, right? And you're excited, things are moving. And then you realize right away, oh my God, I don't know how to run this project. I thought I did, and there's more pieces than I thought. How do I handle this pickup framing? How do I handle, lots of little things that you don't know. And then you find out right away. And then at that point, I think it's where you start to realize if I do this all on my own, I literally have to do it all on my own and figure it out piece by piece. So I think the individual person growth is realizing that, no, you're not the big shot number one that can do everything.
Right.
Because if you are, I always like to say, if you don't have an assistant, you are the assistant. And if you're the assistant and the owner and the builder and the designer and all these things in one, you're just going to do a terrible job. And that's not going to help. So your business might grow really fast all of a sudden, but then you'll not be able to service your business. And then on the flip side, you could take it the opposite way and say, okay, I don't want that to happen, so I'm going to hire everyone I possibly can, fill all the roles, and then get that job. I'm going to get this next one. I'm going to get this in a lineup, and we'll be fine. We'll be good to go, which can do the opposite thing. It doesn't take much for one person to have a family crisis, get divorced, decide they're going to move.
Or you don't know your numbers. You don't know how it works. You're hiring a lot of people. You don't know what's a good timing for hiring.
Yeah.
And that leads me to the growing too fast part of things, right?
Yeah.
What's so dangerous and tricky about growing too fast? What can happen? You're as a new business owner, right? You start off, let's say you're doing construction, right? You start this new remodeling company and you want to start taking projects, and all of a sudden, your phone start ringing. You got a beautiful face. You're knocking on doors. You're talking to people, and leads coming in, and you have that feeling. Oh man, I'm on top of the world right now, right?
Yeah.
I should hire everybody. I should make sure that my team is fully robust and ready to take on. And then, what can happen then? What can happen to your brain when you get a lot of attraction, a lot of traction, to your business, and you more like feel like you need to grow without knowing what growth is, right?
Yeah, I think really kind of what happens, and what we've seen it with tons of different people at this point. It's come through a lot of our subcontractors. It's come through where they grow and they hire and hire and hire and they get things going. And I think the thing that everyone skips, especially at the beginning, is not really realizing what you need and then how to communicate that properly to the new team members or new clients or whatever it is that you're growing into, right?
Lack of process, I'm going to say.
Yeah, yeah, you just skip the process, or you think I've got an established process, and then you just kind of roll with it and you're going, and then you don't check up on that process because you need to. Like, you need to establish something and say, this is how we're going to do it, and we're going to work on this and run for 3 weeks, and then look and say, oh crap, that didn't work, or what I thought I explained maybe doesn't work in every situation. Like, you need to go back and analyze it, which I think is the thing when you're growing and you try to grow really fast, is because things are coming in so quickly and you're trying to sell, you kind of forget about that. Oh crud, I have a team that needs to figure out how to take my vision and my sales and all these things that are doing well and turn them into real projects and finish them, and get it to completion. So I think that's kind of what happens. And then as the individual, you obviously want to grow, and you feel like the team is excited about it, and they're like, whoa, we're selling big projects, we got this awesome thing. And so I think that's one thing that you'll notice is like more people just get really excited. And then that's when you start, as a business owner, if you start getting excited and seeing
we
big
get so
numbers,
excited, we hired 2 marketing people at the same time without even knowing what we want.
Yeah.
That was thinking back, what a crazy little
we didn't know idea what we were looking for.
No plan,
I was
no
one
schedule.
of those hires, by the way. I originally was marketing.
Thank God.
Oh my gosh. And I look at it now and I'm like, yeah, I probably was not the right person to have picked for startup marketing. These are the million things that we need. It was just, well, I can make videos for you. I could probably do that, and I can do this thing. And
Nate, you came in through the back door.
Yeah. And it just kind of rolled into what we have now. But it's one of those things where it's manic growth. You're just like, we need it. And you don't really look back to be like, okay, well, what do we,
It's
what are
almost
the
like an
core
emotional
parts of the
eating,
business?
right?
Yeah.
It's just you're so emotional about the situation, so you start eating thinking that will fill you up, but you start eating junk just because you feel like you deserve a good meal,
Yeah.
So it's almost like the same thing in
Yeah.
growth. But I must just add to what you just said that I personally encourage people to make mistakes. Means do the hiring, lose some money, go back, fix it, fill your back against the wall. I mean, the worst mistake is just the one you never made, right? It's just that's so true. You cannot learn. Like I believe through psychology is that the best memory like muscle you can develop, and the best skill you can develop will add unfortunately upon mistakes and also upon like traumas. You gotta be a little bit, as a good business owner and as a good business leader or as a good role like business, if you're high up, you gotta be traumatized a little bit to know what not to do, right? You gotta feel it. You gotta feel it, and we felt it.
Yeah.
So I want to add and make sure people are understanding. Make mistakes, hire a lot, fire a lot, try it out, do different things for a business. Nothing we will say here will save you from the mistakes, but just keep in mind that growing should be slow. At the end of the day, it doesn't matter what you do until you got all the knowledge.
It'll snowball. That's the thing. It snowballs into fast growth, like fast revenue growth. But like it takes slow little baby steps. And I think the caveat of something that we've learned too as well is being candorous with the employees that you're hiring. Right. If you're in this stage where you're like, I'm got a lot happening, I need to hire, and you don't know, you might not know exactly what it is that you need, and you're trying to figure it out. Like, you gotta be
so expensive to
upfront
make
with that,
a
though.
wrong hire.
And I think it's important to hire somebody and be kind of clear of like, my business is in this spot right now, and we're seeing really fast growth, and this is what we think we need, and this is what our plan is. And I think it's important because it's like, yeah, that person is putting their trust in you. They're like, yeah, I want to work here. This is my job. This is what I need. And so being able to be the business owner and taking the step back to say, okay, they want to get into this, they see this, I need to also be thoughtful of that, Right. And it's one of those, if you just go and grow and then you go, oh crap, okay, now I need to fire. There's also a good way to learn from that and say, okay, well, when I have this opportunity, I just have
too
to have
fast.
that
You're making HR mistakes. It's just the whole thing is fast.
Yeah. Because one thing can go and suddenly you're like, we're 10K in the hole. Like I have to make payroll next week. There's tons of things that go, and you're like,
Right.
oh gosh, what do I do?
So let's talk about the mechanism behind the fast growth, because I think people will hear you talking about fast growth and the outcome, but let's talk about what's happening in a company, within the company's envelope, when you first, when you're growing too fast. So maybe tell me more about what is a team burnout, or what happened to the client experience when you're growing too fast. What have we noticed happening when we grew too fast?
Yeah. Okay. So the
Between
team
the team
burnout's
and
the
the-
easy. I mean, team burnout's the easiest, and it's always going to be your employees. Your employees know when they're burned out, and when their other coworkers burned out. You might not see it up front, but like they know, and because they're just working together all the time on little things and little tasks. So I feel like that's where you see it first, and then there's just extra stress, and and it's usually one person, maybe it's one or two that just carry extra stress. And then that, like, you want to try to avoid, because I mean, that'll start resentment really fast, right? If you just feel like, man, everybody else has got it easy, I've just got crushed and crushed and crushed because my one role is getting hammered right now. That you don't want. And that's like, you got to take some time to catch it. And it's part of important follow-ups and being in the business. And if you're the owner, like, you have to be in it and talk to them and be like, okay, how are you doing? Like this, there's a lot going on. Are you good? Do you need help? How can we assist? And I think in learning from that, it's important. The other thing is absolutely client experience, because I think it comes from that person being stressed, and when you have 1, 2, 3 people on the team that are stressed or overworked, or like they just have too much on their plate all at once, then they can't get to that phone call, or they can't send that email or respond to that text in time, because they're worried about the other person that they're already an hour late to respond to them, So those things start to roll, and then you start to see it really fast. Like, okay, I've got 4 clients that for some reason they're all upset about something, and it might be 4 different things, but a lot of times it'll stem back to, okay, we're overloaded in.
It's an availability issue, right?
Yeah.
It's always
Yeah.
the coordinator and the PM, so to speak, are just not available as quickly as they should to handle the issue. It can be a small little thing that just triggers the client's brain right now. And on an ideal world, you have the coordinator and PM to address it quicker. And talking about construction in particular, I kind of feel like these are the 2 roles that are getting burnt out real quickly, because they're so alive in their day-to-day. They must be available. They must put down fires all day. They must be talking to clients, and they're like their first stop. So if you are listening and you're a construction or service company's owner, or working for a service company, or in the construction industry, pay attention to your coordinators, or to your receptionist, call them, or their are your gatekeepers, and make sure they are handling the right amount of volume. And it's always a problem to kind of say, they can manage because I'm creating more processes for them, and I'm creating more clarity in what is important, what's not. And we're doing it pretty well. We are talking every day. We are having an ASAP task list. And on top of the list for each one of our projects, we do have what's more pressing and like pain points. But at the same time, it's just one person. Like she can send just 5 emails an hour. She cannot send 25 emails an hour and be very detailed on each one of the emails. It's just one, 2 pair of hands, and that's it.
Yeah.
So pay attention to these guys that they are not having in high up role. Marketing is one thing. It's not being tested every day.
Yeah.
For example.
And I think it goes the other way too, It's like when things are slow, because that's our business. It gets slow, it gets fast. It gets slow, it gets fast. Like,
it's a good point. What do you do when it's slow?
Yeah, like there is that point of, okay, I have things that are slow. So when you're in the grow fast mentality, right, things are happening really quickly, and you just happen to be getting leads, and you're closing leads and you're nailing it. And you're just like, wow, I've had 5 in the past week and they've all closed. And suddenly you're just like, okay, we got project. And what causes you to go slow, what we found, is you start to give up on the other things that got you there. All that marketing, all the meetings with designers, everything that got you to those first 5 projects, you kind of put on the back burner because you're like, I need to throw these fires, burn the fires, you got to take care of it. Now suddenly you do become slow, and then you go, uh-oh, I've got all these people that I had for all this business, but I forgot about what got me there.
Let me put it on a gym analogy. Think about you're working on your forearm, but you got to breathe, right?
Yeah.
If you'll forget breathing, which is very essential, let's call it marketing,
Yeah.
blood, then it doesn't matter how strong is your forearm. Let's call it like stronger than the usual means more coordinators, more PMs. And you got great sales. Then if you'll forget breathing, it doesn't matter how strong that muscle is, you'll just die.
Yeah.
Same thing in business. I mean, you got to keep your core employees in place and take care of them. And then you can grow. Like you cannot, underestimate marketing or business development or, your location. If you're having an office that attracts a lot of clients your way because you're very local. Oh, great. You're very local. You cannot give up on that just because you had a really good 3 months.
Yeah. And then, I mean, that same thing's going to happen anywhere. It's like, if your client doesn't have a good experience because you were overwhelmed,
There you go.
they're not going to call back and they're not going to send their friend to you. They're going to be like, this guy sucked.
I think that's
he couldn't make it to my house for 2 weeks.
That's the issue.
Yeah.
That's the biggest one. You know what, Nate? You just touched the biggest one. Let's talk about the moment you're start losing your sleep, right? You're going too fast. Things are booming and you're like, okay, I got to wake up tomorrow at 3 a.m. and get everything ready. And you are growing.
Yeah.
Okay. You have the growth pain, the growth joy. This whole thing is knocking on your door. I'm growing. Give me your 2 cents.
Yeah. So at that point, I think the thing that happens is this, you're in it when you set your schedule the next day and you're like, I've got my 6 things I have to do. And you're like committed. You're like, I am doing these today. They're going to get done. And then suddenly it's 2:00. You're like, God damn it. I got one and I couldn't get to the other one because there was just so much to do. And all these other things that happened and came in your way. And then you're just like, oh, dang. Like the things I know are highest priority, I can't even get to those. And like at that point, I feel like, you're in it. This is it. Like you've hit this wall and you've hit this thing. And now this is where you've got to get creative. We've gotten really creative when we had these points where like, I was at one point where I was like, Mir, I can't get to any of these tasks I've got for like a week and a half at a time. And like I try and then I go and something gets in the way and we had tons of audits and Nina. So we took that route and we said, okay, well, we need somebody else. And so we're very fortunate to have found Nina. And so she's like one of our VAs, our virtual assistants, who works remotely. And she takes on a big chunk of the stuff I was doing all the time. And
it makes 0 sense for you to do.
Yeah. And it freed us up though to look at the biggest projects we've got
industry,
right now.
nothing for you to it just doesn't speak your language at all.
Yeah.
To what you do right now.
Yeah. And it was one of those things where it might not have been a construction and sales growth, but it was, we have too many projects with too many transactions and too many things going for me to track and catch and do all the things that we needed. And so that was for me at that point, I was like, I can't get to my sales, and then my projects are suffering and then I'm trying to get this and then you're suffering because like, well, I don't know where we're at on the profit side, loss side, and are these transactions for this and that. And so we're trying to make all these business decisions, but we couldn't. Yeah, we were just kind of trapped. And it was worse because I was like, I felt the point of the bottleneck because it was me. And I was like, I just can't get there. I just can't get to all these. Yeah. And so at that point, it was really just like, you have to kind of stop and admit it. I didn't want to. For a long time, I was like, oh, I can do it. And then we'd have a meeting and I'd be like, I know this is where I'm missing and I need to get these things, but I'll get them done by this day. And then that day would come and I'd barely scrape through and I'd be here till like 6:30 and like, oh, I got it out. Yes. And it wouldn't be, I'd miss something, And so it was one of those, you kind of had to take a step back and say, okay, I've overcommitted myself to too many things. It's just at this point, we've gotten too big for me as the individual to do it, So then it was like, okay, I need some assistance. And that can happen on your person doing your transactions. It can happen on your marketing person. It can happen on the coordinator. It could happen on the admin for the architect. It could happen to any individual. And I feel like it's important because we have lots of meetings, you and I, that we do talk about these things. And it was like, hey, you were very nice and weren't like, you've missed this deadline 3 times, which is great as a boss, But then I also felt the same. I was like, I just can't get it.
I'll talk about that. You gotta. if you are the owner, you got to stop and you got to think: is this guy is just being lazy or not organized? That's his mentality, or is just overloaded. And I know for a fact that my team are not built from lazy people. We are very hard workers, and if we cannot deliver something we said we will, then it is because it's just impossible. We got to a mission impossible, and it's just too much on us, and there are like more pressing things. So for me to be mad now or pissed, it just makes less sense. It's not being nice. I just understand you as a person. You got to understand your people. Trying to do it well most times. I'm not getting pissed too quickly. I think that's the key. It's a game. Enjoy the game. Play it well. Play it nice. Play it clean. I will say also that you got to make sure you're stepping back and you're finding that one thing you can do to solve a big issue or a big problem. It can be a process, can be a hire, but in order to do that, you said it right. You got to step back and stop and say, okay, I cannot breathe. I cannot breathe. I'm in the middle of a panic attack right now. Business panic attack can lead to a lot of different things. I got to step out and see, okay, Nate is actually doing way too much. You got to get help. This is the help I'm proposing. Or the system is not working. Mondays, we use Monday.com. This board is not working. Stop. I'm going to sit down on my ass right now and figure out like a way to make this board work. And the solution you're coming up with or this problem you're trying to solve should solve a larger problem. If you're trying to put one fire down, then that's not the thing. You gotta make sure you're buying the, you're creating a tool to help you for a long run. I think that's one of the advices. Just step back and look for options to solve your bigger problem than the one problem you're dealing with. If it's a one stop, one band-aid, it's not gonna be. It's that's not what you need. It's good for now, and if it's an emergency, of course, take care of it, do it right. That's okay. But then think back how it is not happening again. Come up with a process, talk to your guys, make sure it's on paper, and make sure everybody knows how to handle it next time, and you have a way to avoid it.
Yeah, and then also I think of what do you want this role and this position and this person or yourself? What do you want to be doing future on, right? And it was for you, it was very clear. It's like, I want you to selling these big projects, right? And so for me, it was like, okay, well, I can't do that with this, right? So that's also another thing is that we took the step back and thought about it, but then you went a step further and had a whole list of this is what I want everyone to be doing, and this is where I see we're having a problem, right? So it's like as the owner, I think that's the most valuable thing was it wasn't just, oh, he took a step back and I'll solve his problem and think about it like you're talking about. Like you got to see what was the big picture thing. Right. And in the big picture to where we are now, I think is a big difference. And
I agree. You also need to understand when you're talking about capacities, right? Because the burnout capacity is growing too fast. Is like the same family, right? Mm-hmm. You got to make sure. I'm reading this book right now called Ikigai. It's the Japanese way for a longevity and happiness, and they talk about each one got their moments of flow. And when I'm talking about moments of flow, is moments that time passes by so quickly that you don't even realize that how much time just passed by you doing a task. For example, I think that for you, Nate, scoping and selling and breaking down a project from plans is when you kind of shine, right? You're just doing it so well, communicating with the clients, solving issues, being very like responsible for the situation in a way in terms of like the construction planning. I see you shine there when other people are probably going to do much better designing, for example, or coordinating and making the day go smooth. Yeah. And each one got their own ikigai, and I think it's really important to say, I'm growing too fast, but I got the wrong people in the wrong seats, right? So let me try and look with them for where they can flow and enjoy, and then you retain them for longer, which will help you with growth because a turnaround is a big vibe killer for a company. It will stop your growth immediately. You will have to stop everything you do. It means you're not growing right now. You're solving an issue, and it can be a big one. So find those people that want to do what they're meant to do for your company. That's a big growth helper.
Yeah.
Nate, we are wrapping up. I think we had a really good discussion.
Heck yeah. No,
Build
that's
it or
good.
bag it.
That's the best part of the whole thing. You got to announce it better than that. This is Nir's first time announcing build it or bag it.
That's the first time. I'm doing it very casual. Well,
Need like a theme song.
da, 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 da.
Build it or bag it.
Ready?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Thick countertops.
I am a build it fan on this one. Actually, I really liked it. We actually have one project that almost all of them are thick drop down. I think it's cool. I think it's a challenging and complex. It's a design challenge, to make a thick countertop work with the cabinetry. Like there's a lot of pieces that are involved, and I think like you talked about, I just like being involved in all the nitty gritty. But I enjoy it. Matan's enjoying it as the architect. Like I really am a fan. There's a time and place, obviously. I know a lot of people are going with just the standard as finished with thin countertops, but I'm a thick countertop fan.
Amazing. I'm going to move to the next. I'm with you, by the way. I love thick countertops. Nice. I think it will expose like the beautiful part of the material by looking at the profile of it. It's kind of nice. I'll skip the second one. I'm not filling it, but the third one here Jenny put together is exposed structural beams. What do you feel about exposed structural beams?
So I like
Steel
exposed.
ones
Would you mean?
Wood ones.
Are you talking like engineered, like LVLs and PSLs?
Seeing the material.
I like seeing like these. I just like to see it. And it's like, that is how this is built. And then you just, it feels like it's like a strong thing. I don't know what it is about it. You're just like, this is a solid place. And
I like it as well. If you ever watched the local project, they just uploaded an episode from Australia when the entire house is framed, and they frame another frame on top of it where all the insulation mechanicals are, so you can really see the original frame. So the second frame is pretty much cosmetic. The original frame is in place, and you live in your frame. That is so cool. They use like a beautiful wood out of a broken bridge in Australia.
Oh, sick. Okay.
Yeah, check it out. And they stain it beautifully, but that's the actual framing of the property. And then they build another frame for all the mechanicals, so it's almost like separating it from the mechanicals, but you're seeing where you live, and I think that's so amazing. If you can, well, I don't know how much money they spent to build this project, but
that's cool. I saw one actually, the architect who his whole studio is unfinished, and it's all the framing, everything's run, and like obviously the electrical wiring has jackets around it and it's cased, but he was like, I want people when they come in to see,
like the rough.
And to be like, this is what is in your home, and this is how we can design it to behind the walls. It's not just ugly hanging. Like it still has its beauty in the rough work, but I'm fascinated by that stuff because you so often think of like, Instagram just feeds you finished. Look at this tile. Look at this countertop. Look at this bathroom, and that just to see like raw lumber and hardware. I'm like, I love that crowd.
Yeah. I just want to wrap this growing too fast episode and say to whoever is listening, and if we do have listeners, we're very young in podcasting, but we do believe that this podcast will go to a lot of different places. If you are in stress, if you are in a mental breakdown even, within business, feel free to reach out. We're not going to charge you if you're, that's not the thing. We want to talk to you and help you. If you are in a mental breakdown, you want to hear more about our experience, if you want to get some tools or professionals we can connect you with to get you out of the situation you got yourself into. Also, it's not, don't be ashamed to go and seek for professional help, because that thing can break your family, can break your relationships, can be very deadly to you and your family. So if you're in a too fast of a growth journey right now, and payroll is closing on you, and bills are closing on you, and have no capital to get out of it, give us a call. We'll try and look at your books, look at the prompts, see maybe just share more of our experience, because you will get there at some point, and don't try and be in that situation by yourself. That's not healthy. Share it.
Yeah, absolutely.
That was it.
All right. Heck yeah. Thank you, everybody.